The morning light of the planet Valora was soft and silver. It shone across the floating city of Auralis, where great towers hung in the air, connected by bridges that glowed with gentle blue light. High above the clouds, the royal defense grid spread like a metal web, protecting the palace and the people from any danger in space. Inside one of those towers worked a quiet human named Rin, an engineer who never tried to draw attention to himself. He was not born on Valora. He came from a far human colony ship that had lost its way years ago. When his ship drifted close to Valora, he was rescued, given a small home, and assigned to work as a repairman for the royal systems. Most people of Valora were tall and graceful, with skin that shimmered faintly like glass. They looked at Rin with curious eyes, sometimes kind and sometimes distant. He was different in every way. His skin had the warm tone of the sun, his hair was rough and dark, and his tools were old human models that no one else could use. Yet Rin never complained. He liked his quiet work, fixing what others had given up on. The machine spoke to him in a language he understood better than words. That morning, the defense tower hummed with sound. Energy flowed through the main reactor, a huge sphere that powered half the royal city. Rin stood near the control panel, checking the readings. His small robot helper, Taro, hovered beside him, holding spare parts. Taro had one bright eye and a cheerful tone. It often tried to talk, even when Rin was deep in thought. "Master Rin," Taro said in its friendly metallic voice, "the output levels are rising again. Should we adjust the stabilizer?" Rin nodded without looking up. "Yes, bring me the calibration key." "The flow is uneven." Taro handed him the tool. Rin leaned close to the core, watching the shifting lights inside it. The energy shimmered like a storm trapped behind glass. It was beautiful, but dangerous if not balanced. He worked carefully, turning the key in smooth motions. The lights inside the core softened, and the hum became steady again. Taro let out a happy chirp. "You did it again," Taro said. "No one else can make the core behave like that." Rin smiled a little. "The core just needs to be listened to. Machines are like people. If you rush them, they resist." Taro tilted its small head. "The others do not listen the way you do. Maybe that is why they call you strange." Rin laughed softly. "Maybe I am strange. But strange keeps this city safe." He went back to work, unaware that his day was about to change. Far across the control room, a group of Valoran officers entered. They wore white armor trimmed with gold, showing their royal status. At their center walked Commander Alan, a man known for his cold discipline. He stopped when he saw Rin. "Human," Alan said, his voice calm but firm. "You are not authorized to adjust the main core without supervision." Rin turned and faced him respectfully. The readings were unstable. If I had waited, the overload would have spread. Alan frowned slightly. "The Royal Engineers could have handled it." "With respect, sir," Rin said. "They were not here." For a moment, silence filled the room. The officers exchanged looks, unsure whether to be offended or impressed. Then Alan gave a slow nod. "Very well," he said. "But next time you report before acting. The Queen's energy grid is not a place for human instincts." Rin lowered his head. "Understood, Commander." When the officers left, Taro hovered closer. "He did not thank you," it said quietly. Rin shrugged. "He does not need to. It is enough that the city stays safe." The day moved on. Outside, the silver sky darkened with the approach of night. Though on Valora, night meant a calm glow of purple light that spread through the clouds. Rin stayed behind after his shift, checking the smaller systems. He often worked late because he preferred the quiet. The machine seemed to rest easier when the halls were empty. As he worked, he heard a soft alarm. A new reading flashed across the monitor, an unstable pulse inside the upper grid. It was not a simple malfunction. The signal showed a spreading fault through the Royal Defense Network. If it reached the core, it could cause a total blackout. The palace and its floating gardens would lose power. The royal family was inside the palace that night, including the young heir who was recovering from an illness. Rin's heart quickened. He tried to contact the command center, but no one answered. The communication line was filled with static. He looked at Taro. "We cannot wait. If we delay, the whole grid could fail." Taro's eye flickered nervously. "It is dangerous up there, Master Rin. The stabilizers are near the outer shields." Rin grabbed his toolkit. "Then we go now." He moved through the narrow metal halls, climbing toward the upper decks. Air buzzed with static as the grid trembled. Outside the viewing panels, arcs of blue light danced across the sky. Rin reached the upper platform, where a long bridge stretched between towers. The wind was strong, carrying a low electric hum. The stabilizer unit stood at the center, surrounded by glowing cables. Rin approached it and checked the readings. The control crystal was overheating. It needed a manual reset from the bridge console. He worked quickly, pulling out his tools. His hands moved with calm precision even as the bridge vibrated beneath his feet. Taro hovered beside him, projecting light for better vision. The storm outside grew brighter. A surge ran through the cables and the console sparked. Taro gave a startled beep, but Rin stayed steady. He rerouted the power through a backup line, lowering the flow little by little. He spoke softly as if the machine could hear him. "It is all right. Stay with me. We can fix this." The lights flickered again, then steadied. The grid stopped shaking. The energy flow became smooth once more. Rin exhaled in relief. The city below began to glow evenly again, showing that power had been restored. He smiled and looked at Taro. "See? Nothing to fear." Before Taro could reply, a small transmission opened on Rin's communicator. The screen showed Commander Allen, his expression mixed with surprise and disbelief. "Human," Allen said. "We saw the readings. You prevented a full collapse. How did you even reach the stabilizer in time?" "I was already near the upper platform," Rin said. "I saw the readings change." Allen paused, then nodded. "Report to the royal station at dawn. The Queen will want to know who saved her son's life." Rin blinked. "The prince?" "Yes, the energy failure would have shut down the medical fields around his chamber. You saved him without knowing." The transmission ended, leaving Rin silent. He looked out at the shining city. He had only done his duty, but the thought that a single mistake could have cost a life made his chest tighten. He did not seek praise, yet he knew the Queen's summon was not a small matter. Taro floated beside him. "You are going to meet the Queen herself." Rin gave a small smile. "I only hope she does not ask too many questions." That night he returned to his small quarters on the lower decks. His room was simple, a narrow bed, a small desk, and a window that looked out into the stars. He sat by the window, watching the quiet movement of ships beyond the city. The stars reminded him of Earth, a place he had never seen but often dreamed of. His parents had told him stories of blue oceans and green fields before their ship was lost. Sometimes he wondered if humanity still existed somewhere out there. He thought about how different he was from the people of Valora. They lived in harmony, their technology smooth and elegant. Humans were rougher, imperfect, but full of drive. Perhaps that was why he could fix what others could not. Machines, like people, needed understanding more than power. As he drifted toward sleep, the communicator blinked once more. A soft voice came through, belonging to a palace attendant. "Engineer Rin, the Queen's court will receive you at sunrise. Dress properly." "The Queen values humility but notices everything," Rin answered quietly. "I understand." He turned off the light and rested. The faint hum of the city filled his ears, a sound he had grown to love. Somewhere high above, the royal family slept safely because he had done his part. Tomorrow everything would change. The outcast engineer who once fixed silent machines would step into the light of the royal hall, where the fate of both human and Valoran might begin to weave together. Outside, the stars of Valora burned brighter than usual, as if the universe itself had noticed the small human who refused to stand aside when everything depended on one steady pair of hands. The sun rose over the shining city of Auralis, casting golden light through the floating towers. Airships moved across the sky like silver birds, carrying traders, officials, and visitors to the palace. The great citadel of Valora stood in the center of the clouds, its walls made of crystal and metal that reflected every color of dawn. From far below, it looked like a crown resting upon the world. Inside that crown, the Queen of Valora ruled with calm wisdom. Rin woke early in his small room. The message from the palace still echoed in his thoughts. He had been called to meet Queen Maris herself. No one from the lower stations ever met her, unless they were part of the royal guard or the council. Rin was only an engineer, a human among a people who had known little of his kind. He stood before the mirror and tried to smooth his rough hair. His reflection looked tired yet determined. He wore a clean gray uniform with a patch showing his work rank. It was simple but neat. Taro, his small robot companion, hovered beside him. "Master Rin, the transport will arrive soon. Are you nervous?" Rin smiled slightly. "A little. It is not every day the Queen calls for someone like me." Taro twirled in the air. "You saved her son. She will be grateful." Rin shook his head gently. I did not know the prince was in danger. I only wanted to stop the failure. The queen will see that your heart is honest, Taro said cheerfully. When the transport arrived, Rin stepped aboard. The airship rose quietly through the mist until the grand gates of the palace came into view. Guards stood tall at each side, their silver armor shining. As the doors opened, Rin felt a strange weight in his chest. The halls inside were vast, filled with glowing light and soft music from crystal fountains. Everywhere he looked, he saw symbols of stars and wings carved into the walls. It felt like stepping into another world. A royal attendant dressed in white and gold approached him. She had kind eyes and spoke gently. Engineer Rin, follow me. Her Majesty awaits in the Hall of Crowns. Rin followed, his steps echoing on the polished floor. As they walked, he saw portraits of past rulers, each surrounded by light. The air smelled faintly of flowers and ozone, a mix of nature and technology. Finally, the doors ahead opened wide. The Hall of Crowns stretched before him, its ceiling so high it seemed to touch the clouds. At the far end sat Queen Maris on a throne made of shining metal and crystal. She wore a long robe of pale silver, and her eyes glowed softly like stars seen through clear water. Her presence filled the hall, calm but powerful. Rin bowed low, unsure of the proper custom. Your Majesty, he said quietly. The Queen's voice was smooth and steady. Rise, Rin of Earthsline. I have heard that you risked your life to save our defense grid, and in doing so, protected the life of my son. Rin straightened but kept his eyes lowered. I only did what was needed, Your Majesty. The system was unstable and no one else was there. The Queen studied him with interest. You speak with humility. Many would boast before this court, yet you do not. She turned to her council seated nearby. Tell me, Councillor Varen, what do you see in this man? An older Valoran councillor leaned forward. He is human, Majesty. His kind once roamed the stars freely, but few remain near our worlds. Yet he carries something rare, calm in the face of chaos, the Queen nodded. Indeed. Courage without pride is uncommon. She rose from her throne and walked down the steps toward him. Her presence was warm but commanding. Rin, do you know why I called you here? I do not, Majesty, Rin said softly. You are the first human to set foot in this hall in 2 generations, she said. Your people once helped build the first core that powers this world. Yet many believe humanity has lost its way. Your actions remind us that perhaps that belief is wrong. Rin listened, unsure what to say. He had never thought of himself as a symbol of anything. He had only fixed a machine. The Queen continued. You acted without waiting for orders. You trusted your understanding and saved lives. Tell me, why did you choose to stay when others would have run? Rin looked up at her for the first time. Because someone had to stay. I could not walk away while the city was in danger. It does not matter where I come from. A person should do what is right when the moment comes. For a brief moment, silence filled the hall. The Queen's eyes softened. A simple answer, but true. She turned to her attendants. Record his words. They carry the strength of honesty. The Queen motioned for him to follow her to the balcony. From there, the city stretched below, shining in layers of light and mist. Look, Ren, this is what you protected. Our world floats upon energy and trust. Without both, we would fall. You understand one better than most, Ren gazed at the view. It is beautiful, Majesty. I am glad I could help keep it safe. The Queen folded her hands. The royal family owes you a debt. Yet I sense you did not act for reward. Is there nothing you wish for? Ren thought for a moment. Only a place to belong, perhaps. My people were wanderers. I have lived among yours, but always apart. The Queen studied him quietly. Belonging is not given. It is earned through understanding. You have taken your first step. At that moment, the doors opened again and a young Valoran entered. His hair was pale blue and his eyes glowed faintly. He was thin and looked still weak from recovery. The Queen turned to him with a soft smile. My son, she said, this is the engineer who kept your heart beating when our lights dimmed. The young prince stepped forward, his voice gentle. Then I owe you my life, sir, Rin bowed. You owe me nothing, your highness. I only repaired what was failing. The prince smiled. You repaired more than machines. You repaired our hope. The Queen placed her hand on her son's shoulder. Go now, my child. Rest well. After the prince left, she turned back to Rin. I will not forget this day. You will be placed under the royal registry. You will serve as senior engineer of the defense grid. You will also have access to our archives. Few outsiders have ever seen them. Rin bowed again. I am honored, Majesty. Serve with the same heart that guided you last night, she said. And remember that even the smallest light can change the course of a world. When the audience ended, the Queen's attendant led Rin through quieter halls. Taro, who had been waiting outside, flew toward him excitedly. Did it go well, Master Rin? Rin smiled faintly. Better than I expected. The Queen was kind, Taro spun in the air. Does that mean we are royal now? Rin laughed softly. No, little one. It means we have more work to do. They walked toward the palace transport bay. On the way, Rin passed several guards who now looked at him differently. Their eyes no longer carried doubt or distance, but a quiet respect. He was still human, still an outsider, but something had shifted. The airship carried him back to his tower. As it moved through the clouds, Rin looked out at the glowing city. He thought of the Queen's words about belonging and understanding. He had never been part of something greater before. Maybe this world could be a home after all. Back in the tower, the engineers greeted him with surprise. News of the Queen's summon had already spread. Some whispered, some stared, but no one spoke against him. Commander Allen appeared, his usual strict face softer than before. You stood before the Queen herself, Allen said. Few ever do, Rin nodded. She was gracious, Allen crossed his arms. The Queen has decided to assign you to the royal station permanently. You will oversee the central grid. Rin hesitated. That is an honor. I hope I can meet her expectations. Allen gave a rare smile. If you do as you did before, the city will never fall. When Rin finally returned to his quarters that night, he sat by the window again. The stars were brighter than before, or perhaps he simply saw them with new eyes. The Queen had spoken to him not as a stranger, but as someone who belonged to this world. That thought warmed his heart more than any title could. Taro floated beside him, humming a soft tune. You are not alone anymore, Master Rin, Rin nodded. No, I am not. Tomorrow brings new work, and I am ready for it. The city lights shimmered in the distance, and far above the palace crown glowed with gentle light. Somewhere within it, Queen Maris watched over her people, perhaps thinking of the quiet human who had changed the fate of her royal bloodline by following nothing more than the steady voice of his own heart. The days following Rin's meeting with Queen Maris passed quietly. The floating city of Auralis shone brighter than ever, and the royal court moved with its usual grace and calm. Rin returned to his work at the upper towers, overseeing the defense grid and repairing minor faults before they became problems. For the first time, he felt a sense of belonging. Even the other engineers, who had once treated him with distant curiosity, now approached him with respect. Taro never left his side, buzzing and beeping happily as they went from console to console. Yet Rin could not shake a sense of unease. One morning, as he reviewed the energy flows through the grid, a strange anomaly appeared on the sensors. It was subtle, a small spike far beyond the outer shield in the space beyond Valora's orbit. At first, Rin thought it was a glitch. He double-checked the readings, adjusting the calibrations. The anomaly remained, faint but unmistakable. Taro hovered beside him. Master Rin, that signal is unusual. It is not like any craft we have detected before. Rin frowned. It is definitely moving toward us. It is large and uniform, but its patterns are unfamiliar. We should alert the command center. He sent a message to Commander Allen. Within minutes, a response arrived, calm but cautious. Allen ordered Rin to continue monitoring while the Royal Defense Fleet prepared for inspection. Rin studied the readings carefully. The strange fleet was massive, stretching across several kilometers of space, but it moved silently. There were no standard identification signals. Its ships were angular and metallic, yet the designs looked faintly familiar. Rin's mind raced as he examined them. These designs, he murmured, I have seen them before. Taro tilted its small head. Where? Long ago on the old human colonies, Rin said. These shapes belong to human-made craft, but they have been altered over time. The ships have been automated, and someone or something has changed them. Allen arrived in person with a small team. His expression was serious, though he tried to hide concern. Rin, tell me what you see. Rin pointed to the monitor. These ships are following protocols I recognize. They were designed by humans. The problem is they are no longer controlled by any human crew. They might attack the city without knowing why. Allen's eyes widened slightly. That is troubling. How do you know they are human designs? Because their command sequences match old Earth programming, Rin explained. They respond to certain signals and commands only humans would understand. If we can reach them before they act, we can redirect them. The council convened in the palace chamber. Queen Maris entered calmly, her gaze steady as she regarded Rin. You discovered this threat? She asked. Yes, Your Majesty, Rin said. The fleet is approaching Valora. They appear automated and could mistake the city for a target. I believe only a human can communicate with them effectively. The Queen studied him, her expression unreadable. And what do you suggest? Rin took a deep breath. I should intercept the fleet. I can attempt to communicate with their command systems and guide them away. If I fail, the city may be in danger. The council murmured, some concerned and others doubtful. Commander Allen stepped forward. Your Majesty, sending a single engineer into space is risky. We could send a full fleet instead. Rin shook his head. A fleet will not help. These machines will see any approach as hostile unless someone speaks their language. Only a human with knowledge of the old protocols can reach them. The Queen remained silent for a moment, then nodded. Rin, you will go. You will take a craft equipped for long-range operations, and the Council will provide any support you need. You carry the safety of Valora in your hands. Rin felt a strange weight in his chest, not fear but responsibility. I will do my best, Your Majesty. Taro whirred excitedly. We will go together, Master Rin. Nothing can stop us. The engineers prepared the craft quickly. It was a sleek silver vessel built for speed and maneuverability. Rin checked every system, his hands moving with steady precision. Taro scanned the instruments and projected holograms of the incoming fleet. Master Rin, Taro said, they are closer than before. We will reach them in less than an hour at this speed. Rin nodded. Then we must be ready. Remember, we are not attacking. We are speaking to them. The craft lifted into space, moving past the upper shields of the city. From above, Valora looked like a jewel floating in the soft light of the stars. Rin held his breath as the craft entered the dark stretch beyond the atmosphere, where the strange fleet waited. When they approached, the ships were silent, glinting in the dim starlight. Their edges reflected the stars, creating a pattern that was both beautiful and intimidating. Rin activated the old communication array. The interface hummed, recognizing the ancient codes. He spoke softly, as if speaking to a living being. This is Rin of Earth. You are not to harm Valora. Identify and follow my instructions. The ships paused, and for a moment nothing happened. Then a faint light began to move across the surface of the lead ship. Rin adjusted the signal, adding subtle human commands that guided the fleet's logic. Slowly, the machines responded, turning their formation slightly away from Valora. Taro beeped in relief. It is working, Master Rin. They recognize your voice. Rin felt a surge of hope. Keep steady. We need to lead them to a safe orbit beyond the city. The craft moved carefully, guiding the fleet. Rin spoke commands clearly, drawing on every memory of human programming he had learned from the old colonies. The ships adjusted, turning and following the path he set. The process was slow but precise. He had to maintain focus, knowing one mistake could trigger a defensive response. Finally, the fleet reached a distant orbit beyond Valora. Rin signaled them to enter a holding pattern, preventing accidental damage. The machines settled into place, floating silently as if waiting for further instructions. Rin exhaled, a sense of relief washing over him. Back in the palace, the council and Queen Maris watched the situation unfold on the monitors. The Queen's expression was calm, but her eyes revealed admiration and relief. Commander Allen turned to Rin's message report. The human did what no Velaran could. He spoke to the fleet and prevented disaster. The Queen rose from her throne, walking to a window that overlooked the city. It is rare to see such courage and skill combined. This human does not merely belong to us. He carries the future of our world in his hands. Rin returned to Valora in the small craft. As the city appeared below, glowing softly in the starlight, he felt a mixture of exhaustion and satisfaction. The fleet would no longer pose a threat, and the city remained safe. Taro hummed cheerfully beside him. You did it, Master Rin, Taro said. You saved Valora again. Rin shook his head. We did it, Taro. The fleet responded to the commands, not to force. They listened because we communicated clearly. Landing the craft at the upper docks, Rin was met by Queen Maris herself. She looked at him with eyes full of quiet recognition. Rin, you have done more than repair machines or guide fleets. You have shown that humanity, though far from this world, carries wisdom and courage that others may forget. Rin bowed. I am only doing what I can, Your Majesty. The Queen smiled. And yet your actions remind us why even the smallest light matters. Your presence here changes more than one world. The council members nodded, and Commander Allen gave a rare approving gesture. For Rin, it was not glory he sought, but a simple truth. His work, guided by reason and care, had made a difference. That night, Rin returned to his quarters, looking out at the stars once more. The strange fleet floated silently in the distance, guided to safety, yet he could not help but feel they were a reminder of the vast unknown that still waited in the galaxy. Valora was safe, but the universe was far larger than the floating city. Somewhere beyond the stars, other challenges might arise, and Rin knew he would be ready. Taro hovered near the window, projecting the soft light of the stars across the room. Master Rin, you are no longer just an engineer. You're part of something greater. Rin smiled faintly. Perhaps, but greater or not, I only act as I must. The world and the people in it deserve protection when danger comes. He leaned back, feeling a quiet pride in what he had accomplished. He had faced machines from a lost human era and brought them under control. He had protected a royal heir without hesitation, using only his mind, knowledge, and courage. For the first time, he understood the words Queen Maris had spoken. A single human could change the course of a world, not through force but through intelligence, patience, and the will to act when it mattered most. Above Valora, the stars continued to shine. Somewhere among them, humanity still left its mark, carried in the hands of a quiet engineer named Rin. Tomorrow would bring new work, new challenges, and perhaps new mysteries. But for now, the city rested safely, and the outcast human had proven that even one person, when guided by purpose, could change the fate of an entire world. The sky over Valora was calm as the morning sun glimmered across the city's floating towers. Yet in the far reaches of space, the remnants of the automated fleet that Rin had guided to safety earlier stirred quietly. The ships were still awaiting their next directive. Rin, however, knew they could not remain idle forever. The programming of these machines was ancient, and even the smallest interference might send them drifting toward the city again. Inside the Royal Command Tower, Rin studied the fleet's position on the holographic display. Taro floated beside him, projecting charts and maps of the outer orbit. They are stable for now, Taro said, but they will move if they detect energy patterns from Valora. Rin nodded. We cannot wait for them to act. I need to approach the fleet again, but this time more carefully. We need to secure their systems permanently, or at least create a long-term connection that prevents accidents. Commander Allen stepped forward. Rin, are you sure? Approaching them is risky. Even with your knowledge of human programming, one mistake and the city could be in danger. Rin looked at him steadily. I understand, Commander, but I have no other option. If I do not do it, these machines remain unpredictable. Queen Maris entered the room, her presence calm yet commanding. Rin, she said, you have already saved Valora twice. You act with courage and reason. I trust your judgment. Take whatever resources you need. Rin bowed slightly. Thank you, Your Majesty. I will not fail. The engineers prepared a new craft, larger than the one Rin had used before, equipped with advanced communication systems and shields. The vessel was sleek and polished, capable of both speed and long-range operations. Rin checked every system meticulously. Taro hovered near the control console, assisting with calculations and scanning for any anomalies. Master Rin, Taro said, the fleet is just ahead. Are you ready to begin? Rin took a deep breath. Yes, let us do this carefully. No sudden moves. We speak to them, we guide them, we do not fight them. The craft lifted off and moved toward the fleet. As they drew closer, the machine's angular forms reflected the starlight. They were silent, precise, and enormous, yet Rin did not feel fear. He remembered the protocols, the codes that had been passed down among humans centuries ago. He activated the communication interface, sending soft pulses of light and energy patterns. This is Rin of Earth, he spoke. You are not to harm Valora. Follow my instructions and maintain a safe orbit. The lead ship paused. Its lights pulsed faintly, a signal that it recognized the command. Rin adjusted his transmission, adding subtle directives to stabilize the fleet permanently. Slowly, the ships began to move in harmony. forming precise formations that mirrored the ones Rin had studied from the old colonies. Taro beeped softly. Master Rin, they are listening. They are responding exactly as you expect. Rin guided the fleet carefully, drawing them farther from the city and into a controlled orbit where they could not accidentally drift back. He spoke with patience, repeating commands, reinforcing protocols, and ensuring every ship was aligned with the new directives. It was a careful dance of light, energy, and logic. In the Royal Command Tower, Queen Maris and the Council watched the progress. The Queen's expression was serene, but her eyes showed deep admiration. Commander Allen whispered to her, I have never seen anyone handle such a situation with such precision. This human does not just act. He thinks, and his thinking keeps the city safe. The Queen nodded. He is extraordinary. Not only has he saved the prince and the city, but he has also shown what humanity can do when guided by intelligence and care. Back in space, Rin finally completed the stabilization. The fleet moved in perfect formation, guided by the protocols Rin had reinforced. They were no longer a threat. Instead, they became guardians of the outer orbit, a silent reminder of the past human colonies and their knowledge. Fleet secured, Rin said, his voice calm but filled with relief. Valora is safe, Taro whirred happily. You did it, Master Rin. You have brought order to chaos. The craft turned and headed back toward Valora. As the city came into view, glowing softly in the morning light, Rin felt a sense of quiet pride. He had faced machines from the long-lost human colonies and guided them with reason, not force. He had protected the city without firing a single weapon. When he landed, the royal court awaited him. Queen Maris approached, her expression warm and serious. Rin, you have done more than I could have imagined. You spoke to the machines, guided them, and ensured the safety of Valora. Your actions remind us all that courage is not only strength but wisdom in action. Rin bowed. I only followed what I understood. The machines respond to logic and care. They do not act on anger or fear. If we speak clearly, they follow. That is all I have done, the Queen smiled. And yet it is enough to change the fate of a world. You have shown that one human, guided by reason, can protect not only a city but an entire civilization. The council members nodded, impressed and silent. Even Commander Allen gave a rare smile of approval. Rin felt the weight of their recognition but did not let it cloud his mind. There was work to do, and he intended to do it well. The Queen gestured toward the balcony overlooking the city. Rin, come with me. I want you to see what your actions have preserved. He followed her, stepping onto the balcony. Below, the floating gardens and towers sparkled in the soft light. The people moved among the streets and bridges, unaware of the danger that had threatened them, yet safe because of Rin's careful work. You see, the Queen said, Valora thrives because of those who act when it matters. You acted without hesitation. That is rare and precious. Rin looked at the city, feeling a deep connection he had never felt before. It is beautiful, Your Majesty. I am glad I could help protect it. She placed a hand lightly on his shoulder. Rin, you have proven something important today. Not just to Valora, but to all who look to humanity. Your courage, your mind, and your care are qualities we have long admired from your kind, yet rarely see in our time. You have reminded us what it means to be human in the stars. Rin bowed his head, humbled. I only hope I can continue to live up to your trust, Your Majesty. You will, she said simply. And know this, Rin. Valora will always have a place for you. You belong here now among us, not only as an engineer, but as a guardian of our future. The people of the city, watching from afar, saw the craft land and the engineers move about their work. News spread quickly of Rin's success in guiding the ancient fleet. The story of a human speaking to the machines, calming them, and protecting Valora became the talk of the city. They spoke in whispers and excited voices, sharing hope and admiration for someone who had once been an outsider. That evening, Rin returned to his quarters. He sat by the window, watching the stars and reflecting on the day. The fleet now orbited safely, a silent testament to his skill. The city below rested peacefully, and the royal family slept without worry. Taro floated nearby, projecting gentle lights across the room. You have done more than repair machines today, Taro said softly. You have shown the power of thought, care, and courage. Rin smiled faintly. Perhaps, but it is only the beginning. The universe is wide and we will face more challenges. Still, if we act with reason and care, we can meet them without fear. The stars shimmered through the window, brighter than usual. Rin thought of the Queen's words and the people of Valora. He was no longer just a human engineer from a distant world. He was part of something greater, a protector not by rank but by action. And in that quiet moment he understood something he had never realized before. Even one person, when guided by knowledge and heart, could change the course of an entire world. The fleet remained in orbit, ready, silent, and calm. And somewhere in that vast expanse humanity's presence lingered, carried in the hands of a quiet engineer who refused to stand aside when the fate of a world depended on him. For Rin, the day had been long, exhausting, and full of uncertainty, yet it had ended with triumph not in glory or wealth, but in a simple truth. Doing what was right, guided by wisdom and care, was enough to change the stars themselves. Tomorrow would bring new duties, new systems to manage, and perhaps new mysteries from the deep reaches of space. But tonight, Rin allowed himself a quiet satisfaction, knowing that Valora slept safely, and that one human had reminded an entire civilization of the power of reason, courage, and heart. The morning sun rose over Valora, painting the floating city in golden and silver hues. The air was filled with a quiet energy, a sense that something important was about to happen. Word had spread across the city and the palace. Rin, the human engineer, had not only saved the royal heir, but had also guided the ancient fleet into safe orbit. The people were curious, some excited and others filled with admiration. Inside the Hall of Crowns, the royal court gathered early. The Queen's advisors and counselors filled the seats, murmuring quietly among themselves. Queen Maris entered the hall, her silver robe flowing softly behind her. She moved with the calm dignity that all Velerans admired, yet her eyes glowed with warmth as she looked across the room. Today was not a usual day for the court. Today, a human, once an outsider, would be recognized before all of Valora. Rin stood near the entrance, his gray uniform clean and pressed. He felt a mixture of humility and nervousness. This was a moment he had not expected. He was still the quiet engineer, the one who preferred the hum of machines to the voices of the court. Yet here he was, standing in the hall that held the rulers of Valora, the family whose lives he had saved more than once. Taro hovered near him, projecting a gentle light and softly cheering with electronic tones. The Queen's voice carried across the hall. Counselors, advisors, and citizens of Valora, today we recognize someone extraordinary. This human, Rin, acted not for honor, reward, or recognition. He acted because it was necessary. He did not hesitate when danger approached. He did not waver when the safety of our heir and our city was at stake. A hush fell over the hall. Every eye turned toward Rin. He felt a strange warmth in his chest, a feeling he had never known before. He was not a Valoran. He was a human from a distant world, one who had drifted into Valora by chance. Yet here, in this hall of light and tradition, he felt seen in a way he had never felt anywhere else. Queen Maris stepped down from her throne, moving closer to him. Rin, you have faced machines from our history, guided them with intelligence, and protected Valora without harm. You have proven something rare, that courage is not measured by power but by wisdom, patience, and the willingness to act when it matters most. Rin lowered his head. Your Majesty, I only did what I could. The fleet followed the instructions because that is how they were built. I only guided them. The city was already strong. I was just lucky enough to help. The Queen smiled. It is not luck that has made the difference. It is your heart, your mind, and your courage. You remind us all of what it means to act with reason and care, and for that we honor you. She turned to the court and raised her hand. Citizens of Valora, today we recognize Rin not only as an engineer of our royal defense grid, but also as a guardian of our world. He belongs here not as an outsider but as one of us. He carries our trust, our hope, and our gratitude. A cheer rose from the hall, soft at first, then louder as the news spread from Valoran to Valoran. Some of the counselors whispered, amazed at the Queen's bold recognition. Even Commander Allen, usually reserved and cautious, bowed his head with approval. Rin felt a gentle weight of pride settle on his shoulders. It was strange to hear recognition spoken aloud, yet it did not feel like praise for himself. It felt like acknowledgement of a simple truth. One person, guided by knowledge and heart, could make a difference. Queen Maris moved closer. Rin, I have a personal declaration to make. You have saved my son's life and the safety of Valora. You have proven that humans, though far from this world, carry qualities we admire and respect. From this day forward, you are no longer simply a visitor or an outsider. You are ours. The court fell silent at the Queen's words. He is ours, she repeated, looking directly at Rin. His loyalty, courage, and mine now belong to Valora as one of its own. We welcome him into our hearts, our city, and our future. Rin's eyes widened. He could not recall ever being given such trust or acceptance. His life had been quiet, full of repairs and calculations, and now he was standing as a symbol of something greater. He bowed deeply. Your Majesty, I am honored. I will do everything I can to live up to your trust. The Queen smiled warmly. I have no doubt. Today humanity has been remembered not as a distant memory, but as a living force among the stars. Rin, you remind us that courage and wisdom are not limited by species or origin. They are found in those willing to act for the good of others. The young prince entered the hall, walking carefully on the polished floor. His hair shone faintly in the sunlight, and his eyes carried a quiet light. He stopped before Rin and spoke softly. Sir, I am grateful not only for saving me, but for showing what is possible when one acts with care and thought. You are a hero in every sense. Rin smiled gently. You owe me nothing, Your Highness. I only guided what could be guided. Your city, your people, and your home are safe because you trusted those around you. The prince's smile broadened. I will never forget your courage. Queen Maris stepped forward once more. Today marks a turning point. We honor Rin not because of his origin, but because of his actions. Let it be known that those who act with wisdom, patience, and courage are valued here no matter where they come from. Rin's actions will remind all who follow that even one person can change the course of history. Rin felt warmth fill him, a sense of belonging he had never experienced. He was no longer just a human engineer from a distant colony. He was part of Valora, part of its story, and part of a future that was brighter because of one steady pair of hands and a careful mind. After the ceremony, the Queen invited Rin to walk with her through the gardens that floated above the city. The air was filled with light, mist, and the scent of rare flowers that grew only in Valora. You have done more than save a life, the Queen said softly. You have reminded us what it means to act with integrity and care. Humans often forget their strength in subtle ways, but you have proven it can shape the stars themselves. Rin nodded. I only acted as I must, Your Majesty. The city was in danger and the fleet needed guidance. That is all, the Queen smiled. And yet all of that is enough. Your actions speak louder than any words. You are a part of Valora now. You belong here. Taro floated beside Rin, projecting small lights that danced among the flowers. Master Rin, it said, you are no longer just an engineer. You are a guardian, a part of the city, and a symbol of what humans can do when guided by heart and mind. Rin chuckled softly. I am only one person, Taro, but perhaps one person is enough to make a difference. The Queen looked at him kindly. One person can always make a difference. You have shown that today. Remember it, Rin. You are ours, as are your courage and wisdom. As the sun rose higher, the city of Valora sparkled in golden light. The people watched from the floating streets and bridges, hearing the news of Rin's recognition. The story of a human who spoke to machines, guided a fleet, and protected a royal heir spread quickly. People whispered admiration and hope, their hearts lifted by the example of courage and wisdom. That evening, Rin returned to his quarters. The city below rested peacefully, and the fleet that had once threatened Valora now orbited silently in perfect harmony. Taro projected the soft glow of distant stars across the room. You have done what few could, Master Rin, Taro said. You have shown Valora and humanity at the same time that one person can change the fate of a world. Rin smiled faintly. Perhaps, but it was only possible because we acted carefully, thoughtfully, and with purpose. That is what made the difference. As he looked out the window at the floating towers, the gardens, and the softly glowing streets, Rin felt a quiet satisfaction. He had saved lives, guided machines, and earned the trust of a civilization that had once seen him as an outsider. For the first time, he felt truly part of something larger. The Queen's words echoed in his mind. He is ours. It was more than a declaration of honor. It was a recognition that courage, wisdom, and care transcend origin. It was a promise that humanity, though far from this world, could leave its mark among the stars. And so, Rin rested that night, a quiet human from a distant world, no longer alone. He had become part of Valora, part of its story and part of its future. One person, guided by heart and mind, had changed the course of a world. And in the soft glow of the floating city, that truth shone brighter than the stars themselves. The future waited, full of possibilities. But for Rin, the knowledge that he belonged, that he had made a difference, and that he had been trusted by the Queen and the people of Valora, was enough to carry him forward into whatever adventures the stars might bring.